The Joe Rogan Experience.
This is something I wanted to talk to you about. Trump versus DeSantis in 2024. Who's the favorite? Who do you think wins?
I don't know. Do you think that happens? It seems like they're positioning that, right? Let's see. But wouldn't the ultimate be they combine? They combine forces. But if DeSantis
never going to do that.
You don't think so?
No. Trump's ego, he would never team up. He's already been shitting on him for the past month.
Yeah, but he shit on people before and brought him into the fold. Think about all the shit that he said to Ted Cruz and all those other people.
Yeah, but the difference is Ted Cruz cucked himself to Trump. So Ted bent the knee after a while. And what happened was, that was actually a really interesting story. So he went to the RNC and he said, vote your conscience, which basically was he wasn't endorsing Trump. He was saying, do whatever you want. I'm not endorsing him. Mm-hmm. Then he got a phone call from his billionaire donor daddy, Robert Mercer, I think his name is. And he was like, remember who you work for. And so Ted fell in line. And then he was phone banking for Trump with that Weasley face on, yeah, vote for Donald Trump. And so he fell in line. He fell in line. And so I don't think...
DeSantis is not going to do that.
I mean, if he's smart, I don't think he would. Look, if you had a straight-up race, just Trump versus DeSantis, I actually think DeSantis could win that. But the problem for DeSantis is this. There's already a bunch of other assholes who nobody cares about who are jumping in the race, who are going to get 2%, 3%, and that all comes out of DeSantis' numbers and not Trump's numbers. So if you have a race with 10 different Republicans, 9 of them are not Donald Trump, 9 of them are splitting the non-Donald Trump vote, and there's one Trump who can win with 29% of the vote or something like that, which is likely. Which is like Nikki Haley. She seems like she's going to run. She's a fucking total donor creation. Nobody gives a fuck about her. She's been told by rich people, yeah, you're the one. Go ahead. She's going to get destroyed, right? But she runs. Mike Pompeo, he wants to run. John Bolton, all these people are going to run. And then if you have all of them and DeSantis and Trump, you're handing it over to Trump. There are other Republicans who need to get in a room behind closed doors, talk it out, and say, look, we all have egos here, but we got to put it aside. And they should dole stuff out. DeSantis could say, all right, who wants to be Secretary of State? Who wants to be Vice President? Let's make a deal so I'm the only one running against him, because that's the only way they're going to take him down.
Do you think that's how it goes?
I don't, because they don't have that level of organization. They don't, and you have a whole bunch of giant egos. So I think what's likely is they all run, and Trump wins with 30% of the vote. Because, it's first past the post voting. If he gets 30% and the closest to him is 21% or whatever the fuck, Trump wins.
And it's in the primary, so it's all registered Republicans.
Correct. Correct. So it's an interesting situation. And Crystal and I and Sagar as well, we've been having this debate back and forth, because there was a period there after the midterm loss where there were a bunch of polls showing DeSantis up comfy on Trump. It was like DeSantis by double digits, right? And we were having the debate where I was like, no, I think DeSantis is the favorite. He is the favorite. But now, just recently, new 3 or 4 polls came out. Trump's back up double digits. And so it could be a heavyweight slugfest, but also I don't know if he has the balls to jump right in and take him on. You know what I mean? Because he is the heir apparent. He is like Diet Donald Trump in a sense. So he might feel like if I just wait till 2028, I could probably win it. But his moment is now, right? Because in the midterms, the candidates that were most Trumpy were the ones who lost. So Carrie Lake, she was denying the election left and right. She was one of Trump's favorites. She lost. Doug Mastriano ran for governor in Pennsylvania. He lost, and he was at January 6th. He was a big-time election denier. All the election deniers, all the ones who really cuddled up to Trump, those are the ones who lost. The more old-school Republicans, like Kemp in Georgia, and he's the guy who said to Trump, remember Trump said, find me 11,000 votes after 2020?
Yes.
That's the guy who was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And that guy won his election easy in Georgia. So basically, the more non-Trump Republicans did better. And so, there's a real weakness there. And he was siloed off on Truth Social for a while. He wasn't he sort of lost his normie touch a little bit. You know what I mean? He was getting too wacky. And so DeSantis was the heir apparent, but now things are changing.
Do you think that Trump comes back to all those social media platforms? What is I read something about his deal with Truth Social, that it might be up soon.
Oh, if that's true, that's interesting. I did read that he's planning on coming back to both Facebook and Twitter. I did read that. But to your point, yeah, my understanding was he had a deal with Truth Social. The whole value of the company is tied to Trump being on it.
Exactly.
And so if he pulls out of that, he's pissing off a lot of people who invested a lot of money in that company, which, he's done shit like that in the past, so I don't see why he wouldn't do it now. But look, he kind of needs it. He needs to be back on Twitter. He needs to be back on Facebook.
Right, because if he's on Twitter, that's where people are going to go.
Establishment Republican who's good at PR, basically. I think he's positioned himself. So there's 2 parts to politics. There's politics and there's policy. On the politics front, I think he's actually plotted his way around brilliantly, where, he is the heir apparent to Donald Trump, and there's a chance he could even beat Donald Trump in a Republican primary. And honestly, I think any Democrat should fear him over Trump in a general election. I think even half-dead Joe Biden can defeat Trump again. Given
Really?
that,
You
I
think
do,
so?
yeah. Well, the problem is, Trump has siloed himself off, and he can't shut up about the 2020 election. It's rigged, it's stolen, and he comes across as whiny. And the Republicans under his leadership got wiped out in the 2018 midterms. They got wiped out in the 2020 main election, and they got wiped out in the 2022 midterms.
Well, people either love him or they hate him, and I don't think there's as much polarity.